Hey, good morning from the office. We're North Georgia's only live online morning show. Hold on just a minute. I'm turning my volume off here. Sometimes I forget and I don't turn the volume off, and next thing I know, the phone rings or something happens that interrupts the show, and that's pretty rude. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office, North Georgia's only live online morning show. There has been many times, and I always come to this audience and just level with you. There's been many times that I have left in the course of the day, finished the show, went through a couple meetings here in the office, and left in the course of the day wondering what I would do the following morning. What would we do? Because I like to bring something on a daily basis. I try not to just go and search the internet and find little most popular stories of the morning. I try to find something on a daily basis that we're bringing some sort of information that is solid and that requires research, time. But here recently, and let me just say this, okay? It has become so easy to do the show based on, it's just so apparent what the left is doing. It's so apparent what direction they're going in. It's so apparent. And I have, whether you like him or not, I know some people get, upset with me. And I'll say that because I know, because you feel I'm over the top some days in support of Donald Trump, the president. Some days you feel I'm over the top in that support. But here's what it is this is getting easier, folks, if you will stick with it. I'm going to tell you what I mean by that. Now, there's a lot of tough days ahead when it comes to the election. We'll talk about that. But Trump has done an outstanding job in 14 and 15 months, the president of the United States, in exposing them, ruffling their feathers, getting them all worked up. And every time he tweets something, which there's been so much discussion, okay, over whether you agree if he should use Twitter and do some of the things he should do. So much discussion. So much discussion that he does not act presidential, that he is the commander in tweet. All of this. But you realize in the last 15 months, his tweets and the way he has handled things have pushed an exposure to information and truly who's in the swamp, how the swamp operates, and where we have to go to drain it. Whether you like his direction, whether you like his technique, it's there. We're going to talk about that. So I'm just saying this show gets easier by the day based on the exposure of the left. I probably should not say them exposing themselves. That probably is not the way we should go with that. Maybe we shouldn't frame it that way. So anyhow, I'm concerned with the whole exposing anything. I just, something about that. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office, North Georgia's only live online morning show. We continue this morning with our candidates. That are running for office. We're going to have statewide Republican candidate for Lieutenant Governor of Georgia. David Schaefer will be with us at 8:30 this morning. All right. And he has a couple big endorsements. You got one from Ted Cruz, one from Newt Gingrich, a couple big endorsements. But we're going to ask him some questions this morning. He is currently the Senate Pro Temp, which is right there, the second ranking in the Senate, right under Lieutenant Governor, and he's been there for a couple years. So we're going to talk to him about that, some of the legislation that did not pass in this past session, and what his goal would be if you decide, the voters, that he should be the next lieutenant governor of Georgia. So that's at 8:30. Then tomorrow we're going to be at Sycamore. No, we're not going to be at Sycamore Crossing. You don't want to take that wrong. You know I love Sycamore Crossing and our friends. But tomorrow we're going to be at Circuit World. Apologize for the Sycamore Crossing. I just have that outdoors here soon in the springtime. But we're going to be tomorrow at Circuit World, our friends there at Circuit World in Blue Ridge. And we have 8:15. Ask the Doc. Dr. William Whaley is traveling, so we're going to have Dr. Ray Tidman's going to be with us in the morning. I look forward to that. Always a great segment with Dr. Ray Tidman, Ask the Doc, in the morning. We're going to have the All-Star Political Panel, and man, do we have a lot to talk about with Rick and Bruce, and I'm not for sure if Jane will be joining us tomorrow, but our panel tomorrow there, and we may, I'm not for sure yet, we'll make some calls, we may have a local Fannin County candidate. We've been doing statewide candidates and state representatives, but we may have a local candidate tomorrow for a couple minutes on the show in Blue Ridge. We'll see, because we're going to continue every day. This is the place you want to tune in, 8 o'clock every morning, so we can continue to bring these candidate interviews and discussions, and we'll keep going over and over. We did have this week, we started a very busy week. We started Monday out with, we've had Brian Kemp, candidate for governor, on the show. We've had Hunter Hill, candidate for governor, on the show of Georgia. This week we had also Hunter Hill, Brian Kemp, and Michael Williams, all three candidates for governor. We have not received a return confirmation from Clay Tippins or Casey Cagle. We just got back from both of them. They're a little busy with their schedule right now, so hopefully next week they can get on the show. All right, let's go into, forget Amazon right now and forget the post office. You and I know the absolute truth of the Sunday delivery deal that Amazon has done. You and I know the truth that there's a portion of every single mail truck that goes out that's basically free to Amazon, whether they like you knowing that. And, if the government, sometimes I make the error of saying if the government, if you, the American people, did not supplement, the U.S. Postal Service, you would see the empty post office if they had to make a living the old-fashioned way and earn it. No government funded pensions in advance. All the above. The list is very long. We don't have time. You would see the empty post offices, much like you would see the empty Sears, or the empty stores, department stores that have gone out, or Jeffrey the Giraffe Toys R Us. You would see that in the United States Postal Service, or you would see changes. But we all know the government protection of your mailbox, and the only one that can go there is the United States Postal Service. So we know that Amazon is being subsidized, whether they want to admit it. There are so many articles out right now attacking the President of the United States, saying this is personal against Amazon. We got Jeff Bezos, that is personal against Jeff Bezos, Amazon, and the President, and because of the Washington Post and negative press and so on and so forth. Folks, I'm just telling you now, if Amazon was required to pay the actual rates, we all know there's a delivery agreement, We all know there's a delivery agreement with Amazon that you and I cannot see with the United States Postal Service. That's very well redacted. Second, there is a level of postal workers that have been put in place to, I keep saying let's start, but I wanted to do this yesterday, Amanda. If you drive through, and tell me this is not funny, we'll talk about this a little later. If you drive through the Sonic in Gulfport, Mississippi. All right? A Sonic in Mississippi is sending you a message. If you go through the drive-thru in Gulfport, Mississippi at the Sonic, did I not send you a picture of that? Wanting to know if they want fries. I'm just serious. That's funny. We'll talk about that a little later in the show. The caravan, okay? The caravan and sending the troops National Guard. Now the governors need to follow that. All right, there is a system there that has to be followed. And we're wondering if Governor Moonbeam out there in California will reject the commander-in-chief's call to send the National Guard to the border. All right? That being said, and we're going to get into it a little deeper at 9 o'clock. That being said, if border crossings are down, and that's what you're hearing the left yell, okay? The left does not talk about the so many MS-13 gang members that crossed the border under the guise of unaccompanied minors that were brought into this country that are actually gang members, MS-13 gang members. All right? If border crossing is down, all right, and it's the lowest it's been in 46 years as the media is blasting out this morning, and it started going down in 2008, somewhat like Barack Obama did something great to slow border crossings, illegal border crossings, then why send the National Guard? I'm going to tell you why. It's real simple. We'll get into it at 9 o'clock. It's real simple. Let's just use simple math. 10,000 were coming in. Let's say 6,000 were coming in, all right, for jobs. Let's say the economy went so downhill there were no jobs. Let's say our NAFTA agreement sent our jobs to Mexico and they did not need to cross the border because they could find a job at home. Let's say those two factors fell into play. And instead of 10,000 coming through the border, only 4 are coming across the border. So the left media wants to tell you that border crossings are down 60%. That seems to make sense, right? And that plays well. So why send the National Guard? Because, folks, the border crossings that we're having right now are the bad hombres, as the president put it. The people returning. This also, the caravan. Do you have pictures? Okay. The caravan. The left has spun their head off. I'm telling you, if President Donald Trump did not use Twitter, okay, like he does, you and I out here in middle America would not know what's going on if we left it up to the media, the big corporate media on the left, to tell us. Well, President Donald Trump comes out Saturday and starts tweeting about and it's Easter weekend, and why would he say this on Easter weekend? And you know, where most presidents are going to church with their family, he's tweeting something out. Just couldn't help himself. Trump wins migrant, and put both of those. I got a couple pictures, whichever ones you want. Trump wins migrant caravan changes. Migrant caravan changes mind after Trump announces U.S. forces on the border. On Wednesday, a 1,000-person caravan making its way north through Mexico while traveling to the United States decided to abandon its plan to reach the U.S. after President Donald Trump announced Tuesday that he was deploying the military to the southern border to increase border security. We will wrap it up in Mexico City, they said. We have support teams at the border if there are people who need assistance there, but they will have to travel on their own. There's too many children, 450 in all. There's a lot of babies. Hopping the train we did in the past would be crazy. Guess what? President Trump said, I'm sending the troops. President Trump said, Mexico, you better stop it. President Trump said, I will immediately readjust NAFTA the way I want to without asking. Guess what? Government of Mexico stopped them. Mexico is helping them now, okay? Mexico responded admirably. Can't get that last. Admirably. Thank you. And we thank the government for the way it's handled this caravan. Mexico, all right, said, hey, you better stop. President Trump won that one. They do not want you to know that he won that. Now, I want to go over one more because I've only got 10 minutes, and these is something else we're going to talk about. All right. Why does the left want to get rid of the EPA? The EPA Secretary, Scott Pruitt. Now, I'm pretty sure I'm just going from memory. Scott Pruitt, Attorney General from Oklahoma, okay? And if you look in his background, Scott Pruitt did sue the EPA, the state as Attorney General of Oklahoma. He did sue the EPA. And why does the left want to get rid of Scott Pruitt, okay? And I'll tell you now, there has been so many. This man is assisting the President of the United States on a daily basis in draining the swamp. All right? These big agencies, I'm telling you, you've got Board of Education, you got the National Board of Education or Education, whatever. Okay, you've got EPA. Every single one of these departments are enormous monsters. The IRS that have to be dismantled. And it's very methodical and it's very slow and it's not easy to do. And this is the man for the job. In 14 months, he has done what he's had to do to cut EPA regulations around to the point that in hundreds of projects that have been on the books in states for years, projects that have been taking years to get EPA approvals, are now underway, now have start dates, now have these red tape EPA hurdles out of the way, and they're moving forward. And I'm telling you, the left can't take it, okay? The left can't take it. They cannot. It's driving them crazy. They don't have enough fresh air, clean air, carbon emissions, all the above. They're going crazy. You look at the Climate Paris Accord, you look at environmentalists, they are losing it with the president and this guy here. But they need rid of him for a couple reasons. They could stop or slow the movement of projects. They could stop or slow the approval of new projects, okay? Stop or slow. Because if this guy goes, we cannot let the left push this guy out of office. If Scott Pruitt goes, folks, I'm telling you now, they will not approve the next EPA secretary. They will not. It's 2018. The Republicans don't have the guts. They know it. The Republicans don't have the guts to replace Scott Pruitt with an EPA secretary that mirrors him or even better. They don't have the guts. And we all know for some reason Mitch McConnell is allowing Democrats to filibuster the president's nominees and their directors because they're lifelong deep state employees. Period. So if they can move Scott Pruitt out of the way, who is the deputy director right now? Okay, put the picture up. Now I do not see this but the picture is Mike Flynn, not to be confused with Michael Flynn. Michael Flynn is the acting deputy administrator to the EPA under Scott Pruitt. This is a lifelong guy. Mike began his EPA career in Office of Land and Emergency Management, where he served various leadership positions for nearly 20 years. 20-year man right there. But I read an article this morning that said he's retiring April 3rd. So where would that leave us? I'm not for sure, but let's just take another chance. Let's put the picture up here. Donna Vizian, I guess that's her name, okay? She looks to be next in line under Mike Flynn. Principal Deputy Assistant Administrator of the EPA's Office of Administration and Resources Management. Let's see. She's also served as acting on all management, administrative, financial, effective at 14 facilities. She's been, managing a staff of 29. Well, it looks to be she has 20 years. Before, she spent 27 years in Region 2, where she was most recently regional administrator. In the capacity, she oversaw the management operations of the region. She also served as regional comptroller, and she has a long list of state environmental headquarters, regions, grant recipients. Just the quintessential, I don't know if I'm using the word correctly, bureaucrat, a lifer in the EPA or surrounding environmental protection. That's why they want Scott Pruitt out of the way, folks. Because what you don't know, what you may not be aware of, is how many, okay, projects that Scott Pruitt has given the green light to as EPA director with Donald Trump as President of the United States, that they want stopped immediately in its tracks. And they've got to figure out how to do it. And that's why the attack to try to get rid of this man. And that's all they have this morning. All politics is local, folks. Tip O'Neill. Remember, all politics is local? I want to explain that. I want to explain that in the 9 o'clock hour. All politics is local, because the Democrats, that's what they're falling under this time in 2018. They're taking the All Politics is Local page and they're running with it. I'm your host, BKP, North Georgia's only live online morning show. And when we come back, we will have Republican candidate for Lieutenant Governor, State Senator David Schaefer. Take us to break.
It's the truth, and I owe it all. Tupelo Tea mission is to provide over 80 premium tea blends for tea lovers who are looking for ways to explore new flavors and blends. Come visit Tupelo Tea, located in beautiful downtown Blue Ridge at Sycamore Crossing. Be sure to sample our various varieties of honey and tea. Visit us on the web at tupelotea.com or call us at 706-946-TEAS. That's TEAS. Tupelo Tea, located in beautiful downtown Blue Ridge.
Ace is your healthful place for paint and home goods, tools, outdoor living, and lawn equipment. But did you know Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge is a little bit more? We have hunting rifles and accessories for your next hunting trip. We have Amish furniture imported directly from Ohio. And we have Ace Custom Woodworks for all your custom wood project needs, from cabinets to artwork. Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge. We have your new house in stock.
Hi, I'm Rhonda the Mattress Lady, and this is my husband Gary, owners of Mattress Overstocked in Ellijay next to Walmart.
And we want to earn your business. From the time you walk in our door to the time we deliver your new mattress to your door, you will see the difference. Our selection and prices are the best in North Georgia, and customer service is our top priority. So y'all come on in and let us help you find the right mattress at the right price. That's Mattress Overstocked in Ellijay next to Walmart.
It's just this simple. Nobody beats Days on price. If it's a Chevy, you'll pay less at Days Chevrolet in Jasper. Now save $4,000 off a new 2018 Chevy Malibu, or save up to $10,000 off a new 2018 Silverado Crew Cab. It doesn't matter which Chevy you choose. Nobody beats Days on price. $10,000 off Silverados and $4,000 off Malibus at Days Chevy in Jasper.
Better days ahead, Days Chevrolet.
Find new roads.
What you gonna do with all that junk?
And we're back. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office, North Georgia's only live online morning show. And we continue our series of daily from 1 to 2 every day, bringing you candidates so you, the voters, can get the most information to make your decision here in the primary. We're joined now on the phone with Republican candidate for Lieutenant Governor David Shafer. Mr. Shafer, how are you this morning?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on the show.
Let's get right into running for lieutenant governor. Why is this your chosen next step in your political career? I did read you go all the way back from being the chair of the Republican Party, and I'll say this: I've heard you tell this before, and maybe you want to share it. But you chaired the Republican Party when the Republican Party was trying to get control in the state. You went through those times with the Republican Party all the way up to now being the Senate pro temp. I think you were elected in, is it 2002? Am I wrong with that? Am I wrong with that? February of 2002 you took that office?
That's when I was elected to the state Senate, yes.
State
and then
Senate,
I became President pro tem in 2013.
Why Lieutenant Governor? Why is this the next step in your that you're seeking in politics?
In Georgia, the lieutenant governor is elected separately from the governor, and his or her principal duty is to be the president of the state Senate, where I've served for the last 15 years. I've spent my entire adult life trying to build up the Republican Party, elect Republican candidates to office, and then holding them accountable to the conservative promises that they've made on the campaign trail. That's what I've tried to do in the 16 years I've served in the state Senate, is implement the promises that we made when we were came to office.
Okay, so you have worked through all the way. You remember? Did you serve in the Senate in the minority when it was in the minority?
When I was elected in 2002, in February 2002, Roy Barnes was the governor of Georgia, and the Democrats had a majority in both the House and the Senate. And then shortly thereafter, we elected Sonny Perdue as governor. We took a majority in the Senate, and then 2 years later, a majority in the House.
So you've served on both sides, the minority and the majority, and so you've seen the difficulty of trying to get a bill to the floor from the minority side of the aisle and get it voted through, or get an amendment on a bill, to now having control of that side.
That's right.
Well, let me ask you this. Explain to our viewers, because sometimes, no disrespect to the intelligence, even myself, I get confused sometimes. So what is the responsibility of the Senate pro tem? We just came out of the 2018 legislative session. What is the responsibility of the Senate President pro tem on the floor?
So the Lieutenant Governor is the President of the Senate, and the President pro tem presides in his absence. He serves as the President when the Lieutenant Governor is absent from the chamber, much as the Lieutenant Governor would serve as the Governor if the Governor was ever unavailable. The Lieutenant Governor has, and the President pro tem also has some administrative roles in terms of managing the support staff of the Senate and in serving on the committees that make leadership decisions for the Senate. Now, I stepped down as President pro tem at the very beginning of the session so that I could concentrate full time on my campaign for Lieutenant Governor.
Yes, sir. I understand that. Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. What is the what in this past session? You're out there on the campaign trail and you're talking to voters. When you talk to voters, what in this last session passed as far as legislation that you are out there, it's in your campaign speech and you're excited that this legislation was passed for the voters in Georgia? And then what legislation did not make it through this past session that you supported or thought should make it through to the governor's desk?
Well, one of the things I'm most proud of is the income tax cut that we passed during this session of the General Assembly. It'll return $5 billion to the taxpayers in the next 3 years. It lowers the state income tax from 6% to 5.75%, then down to 5.5%. So basically almost a 10% cut in the state income tax. I sponsored a constitutional amendment 3 years ago that was approved by the voters that caps the state income tax, that takes away the authority of the General Assembly to raise it any further. We're the only state in the country that has a constitutional guarantee that our income tax rate will never go up, and I'm in favor of lowering it. And I'm glad that we took the first steps during this session of the General Assembly, and hope to take additional steps if I have a chance to serve as Lieutenant Governor.
Well, let me ask you this. On both sides, whether you're in the House of Representatives or the state Senate, whether you're the Speaker or the Lieutenant Governor, there's always the legislation that makes it to the floor, the amendments that make it onto the legislation, and then there's that legislation that does not make it, and a lot of times there's accusations that big business, lobbyists, Atlanta Chamber of Commerce, business friendly, does not want certain legislation to go through, and you hear that. So let me ask you, as Lieutenant Governor, we have not. Now, we're a red state, supposedly, and don't take that wrong, sir, but supposedly we're a red state in the South with a Republican House, Republican Senate, and Republican governor. But we have states all around us that have passed several different religious liberty, religious freedom bills. And here in Georgia, we don't seem every year to be able to get something passed. And when we do, the governor has vetoed it. Were you in favor? Did you support the religious organization adoption amendment to that did not make it on to the foster care bill. But do you support that? And as a lieutenant governor, what kind of religious freedom bill could come to the floor that Lieutenant Governor David Schaefer could support?
I supported the adoption amendment. I was actually, Brian, born in a home for unwed mothers and adopted as an infant, and I'm through Catholic Charities, and I'm a strong supporter of adoption, and I'm a strong supporter of faith-based adoption agencies. And the amendment that you're talking about simply protected faith-based adoption agencies from government interference if they followed the teachings of their affiliated church or religion in the placement of children. And I thought that was a common sense proposal that will encourage faith-based philanthropy. And I was disappointed. I was disappointed that it didn't make its way all the way through the General Assembly.
So you don't feel that's discrimination in yourself because maybe there's several adoption agencies out there that are not faith-based or whatever, where there are several agencies where anyone defining themselves in any way could go and seek to adopt a child. Am I correct on that? Or
it's anti-discrimination because it protects the adoption agencies from discriminatory or retaliatory action from the government and encourages them to operate. We've seen Catholic Charities shut down in 4 states throughout the country from conducting adoptions because people had filed complaints with human rights commissions or other government agencies because of the fact that they were following the teachings of the Catholic Church in the placement of the children. We've got a massive foster care crisis in this state, Brian, and we need all hands on deck. We want faith-based adoption agencies, secular adoption agencies. We want everyone pitching in to try to solve this problem, and it doesn't make sense for the government to be acting against church-based or faith-based adoption agencies as they try to help children.
Okay, well, I don't want to stay on that too long, but I'm listening to you, and based on what you're saying, Mr. Schaefer, because, these are things that we read and we hear about, but, bringing different companies to Atlanta and giving them tax abatements and deals like Mercedes and so many others, just the list goes on, that these big corporations are concerned on bills that could pass that would be discriminate, as they call it, against same-sex couples from adopting in an agency. Now we have HQ2, the headquarters for Amazon, wanting to come here. And I mean, I'm reading articles in several of the publications where maybe that bill alone and that mood of Georgia could possibly keep them out. You would not let outsiders, per se, affect your decision or what you just said is your belief this morning on our show, if that came to the floor?
No, we've got to act in the interest of Georgians. I'm always going to put Georgia first. I don't think that protecting faith-based adoption agencies will have any impact on Amazon one way or another. Texas passed a bill earlier or late last year, very strongly supporting faith-based adoption agencies, and Texas has not one but 2 cities on Amazon's top 20 list. So I think that a lot of times, Amazon or other sort of business considerations will be thrown into these debates that really have nothing to do with the issues that we're debating.
Okay, let me ask you this. Let's switch gears, because we hear in the past 8 years, and I'm not asking you this morning to comment one way or the other, positive or negative on the governor, but we've heard for the last 8 years we continue to get statistics on crime and his focus on crime bills and so on and so forth in Georgia. But we are sitting with Atlanta actually being a hub for illegals, a hub for drug trafficking. I mean, we've got a lot of problems. Gangs, we have gangs all over the state now that have infiltrated this state. So let's stay with like drugs and drug trafficking through Atlanta, and how, as Lieutenant Governor, what kind of bills would you like to see to stiffen penalties or maybe get the federal government involved? What say you?
Well, first, let me say I think Governor Deal's done a good job, and I've been a supporter of his. I don't see every issue exactly the same way that he does, but I do think he's done a good job as our governor. We do have some significant challenges. Gangs are increasingly and sadly becoming a problem, and we've got to confront those as aggressively as possible. Some of these gangs are foreign based, and controlling illegal immigration is part of the solution to that problem. Countries that don't control their borders cease to be countries, and which is why I support President Trump's efforts to secure our borders, to prevent the flow of people into the country illegally.
Well, let me just ask this. Some people, and I would like to hear, because as the Lieutenant Governor, and again, that's where I started, you as a Lieutenant Governor do get the call on bills that come up and go into committees and come out of committees and go for a vote. You have somewhat leadway of guiding those bills through the Senate. So what kind of bills, and again, I'm not trying to be negative on the governor today, but there's been a lot of discussion that this has not been the strongest administration, or the bills that have been sent to his desk have not been the strongest on illegal immigrants in Georgia, from driver's license to giving driver's license tests in so many multiple languages, one thing after another. The state does not have a very good grade card when it comes to passing legislation on illegals. What say you, and what kind of legislation would you like to see brought to the Senate, if any, concerning enforcing some Georgia laws or changes some Georgia laws?
Well, we've banned sanctuary cities and sanctuary campuses, and both of those bills have been signed into law. I introduced additional legislation on sanctuary cities during this session of the General Assembly that will give the state criminal jurisdiction to investigate cities that choose to become sanctuary cities in an effort to prevent that from occurring. I supported the driver's license bill, which I thought was a very very reasonable. It simply has separately designed driver's licenses for people who are citizens and people who are not citizens of the country. The reality is that the driver's license is the universal identification card, and we need to make sure that it's not used to allow people who are not citizens, to cast votes in elections, for a host of other things that should be reserved only to citizens of the United States of Georgia.
So that is a bill, the driver's license bill, that as Lieutenant Governor would have your support?
Absolutely. I supported it as a state senator. I voted for it every time, and would support it as Lieutenant Governor as well.
All right. I know I told you about 20 minutes, but I can't get out without what kind of budget? Now, I've read several things where zero-based budgeting, and I know you've been involved in that since your time in the Senate. What kind of budget changes would you say we need to maybe get some runaway spending, these are my words, out of control? And I'm going to say this, I hear different explanations, and I just use the 5-year period. I know it goes back much longer than that, but the 5-year period of, in the last 5 years, the Georgia state budget has gone up, okay? Has gone up $5.5 billion, an average of $1 billion every year. Is that really necessary, and is that what's required to facilitate the growth and to parallel growth? Or is there places we can cut and do something with this budget and reduce the spending?
Those numbers are basically right now. When the economy crashed in 2008, revenues fell, and we had to cut almost $5 billion from the budget. But you're right. Now that the economy is growing again, revenues are coming in, and we've got additional money to spend. What I found in my 16 years is that we will spend every dollar that we get. And so we've got to put, which is one of the reasons that I'm in favor of lowering the income tax. It will reduce the number of dollars that's available to us and force us to be better stewards of the tax dollars. When you have fewer dollars available, you'll be more efficient and careful in the spending decisions that you make. Which, one of the things I'm most proud of, Brian, is the zero-based budgeting initiative. When I was elected to the state senate in 2002, Georgia was on a continuation budget, so that the budget document that we voted on only described about 3 or 4% of the state spending, the new programs. And once a new program was passed by the General Assembly and signed into law, it automatically rolled over into each succeeding budget of the state under a single line item called continuation. And I've introduced my very first term legislation to move us to zero-based budgeting, and I reintroduced it every 2 years for the next decade until Governor Deal finally signed it into law. And I think that helped us be a better steward of the tax dollars as well.
Didn't on your zero-based budgeting, I was reading when you supported and you pushed for zero-based budgeting and got that signed into law by Governor Deal, did you not also support, and I understand you're only one of many down there, that any tax revenue over and above the budget be returned to the taxpayers? Did I read something on that?
Absolutely. I've sponsored constitutional amendments that would, require surpluses to be either put into the rainy day fund or returned to the taxpayers to prevent that money from being pork barreled through the supplemental budget. That's a practice that has largely stopped.
Wait a minute. Before you say that, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I followed that and I agree with you. It should be returned to the citizen, any surplus. But this past year we had a surplus and we had a budget amendment to spend it. Okay, I don't want to get the numbers wrong because I think it's in the area 170 million or something. I don't know what it was, but it was in the millions that we had a surplus. And when you look at the budget amendment to spend that additional surplus, it didn't look like it went to things that really seemed to be unfunded or that crucial. So would you have said, like this past year, we should have returned that surplus to the citizens?
Either returned it or added it to the shortfall reserve, so-called rainy day fund. I mean, we've got $2 billion that we've put into the shortfall reserve, which is a lot of money. It sounds like a lot of money. It is a lot of money, but that only operates state government for about 30 days. And the reality is that the money that we receive doesn't come in equally each month. You've got more sales tax revenue around the holidays. You've got more income tax revenue, around April 15th and the various tax filing deadlines. So you've got to have some cash money available to operate the government in those months where the revenue is down because it's not regularly received. And so, but yes, we've got to be as careful as possible with the tax dollars of the state, recognizing that they first have to be earned by somebody before we take it from them and make the decision to spend it.
Last question. I know we're out of time, and I appreciate you for staying longer than I told you we'd be on. But I just want to go to the Second Amendment, your support of the Second Amendment, where you stand. And I do have to ask, like I've asked most people, where do you stand on constitutional carry?
I'm one of the strongest supporters of the Second Amendment under the Gold Dome. I've sponsored or co-sponsored 24 pieces of legislation designed to protect and expand our Second Amendment rights. I'm the only candidate for lieutenant governor who's been rated A+ by the National Rifle Association. My two opponents in the primary are nominally pro-Second Amendment, but neither one of them has ever sponsored a single piece of Second Amendment legislation.
Okay. You didn't answer constitutional carry, but that's okay. I do know that's a big one. There's a lot of states that have constitutional carry and a lot that do not, that have concealed carry, much like we have here, or open carry in Georgia. why do you think? Why do you think? How did you get? Why did Ted Cruz endorse David Schaefer? I mean, go ahead.
He endorsed me because I'm the most conservative candidate running for lieutenant governor. And let me also say the Second Amendment is clear. Most of the amendments of the that make up the Bill of Rights have some sort of limitation on the government interfering with free speech or free religion or free press. The Second Amendment is not a limitation on government power. It's an absolute declaration that the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, which is why I've been such a strong supporter of the Second Amendment and every piece of legislation protecting and expanding our Second Amendment rights. But I'm proud to have been endorsed by Ted Cruz, by Rick Santorum, by Newt Gingrich, by the Georgia Republican Assembly, which is the state affiliate of the National Federation of Republican Assemblies, and by the Republican Liberty Caucus, because I have spent 15 years fighting for the conservative values that we all share.
Well, Mr. Schaefer, we like we tell all candidates, we wish you well in the campaign, and we thank you for your willingness to serve, and we'd like to have you back on real soon. First opportunity we can get you back on, and if your campaign travels up here to North Georgia, let us know so we can get you in the studio, maybe stop by.
Thank you, Brian. This has been great.
Thank you, sir. You have a nice day. Okay, we've been talking with Republican candidate for Lieutenant Governor David Schaefer, and we will try to get the other candidates on. We promise, one at a time. Here's what we're doing, and just so you know before we go to break, is every day after the show we're sending 2 or 3 messages out. I've got a message into candidate for Secretary of State Josh McCoon. We're sending messages out. If you are watching any of the interviews and you want your candidate or a candidate out there that's saying, hey, how do I get on? We're not leaving you out. Send me a message, 706-889-9700. We'll get you scheduled into the show. We offer everybody these opportunities. The one thing that you need to know is all the candidates are coming on and they don't know the question. So they're stand up. These are stand-up people, and no matter whether you agree with their positions, they're stand-up people in the fact that they come on, they don't know if I'm going to ask constitutional carry, they don't know if I'm going to ask the budget, and they come on and they go with it, and I respect that. That's stand-up. So 706-889-9700 or chief@veterannews.com if you are a candidate out there and wondering how to get on the show. And just like I said, there's no real order. These interviews are all getting clipped and they're getting put on veterannews.com under Election 2018. They're under there. Also, you can find them on our YouTube channel because our goal is to get you the most information when making your decision in the voting booth. And like I said, I send 2 or 3 out a day. We're scheduling a couple, sometimes 3. And I'm your host, BKP. Let's take a break and we'll be right back, Amanda.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in Ellijay, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
Circuit World, brand name merchandise at unbelievably low prices. Furniture, appliances, and electronics. Circuit World is locally owned and operated, serving the tri-state area. Circuit World has highly trained professionals to help. Visit your hometown Circuit World today. 3 locations in Georgia: Ellijay, Blue Ridge, and Blairsville, Franklin, and Murphy, North Carolina. No credit checks, so let Circuit World deliver to you today.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds. Come on in to view the area's largest selection of fine jewelry at North Georgia Diamond. All repairs and designs are done on site by our jewelers, and North Georgia Diamond has the lowest prices on loose diamonds. You can also sell your gold, silver, and coins at North Georgia Diamond between Walmart and Lowe's in East Ellijay. Locally owned by Bill and Allison Craig, North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
Medium Pizza Hut pizzas, just $5.99 each.
Did they say Pizza Hut?
For $5.99?
Yes, and yes.
Yes. Introducing the deal you want on the pizza you crave. 2 medium pizzas, just $5.99 each. No one out pizzas the hot.
Hey, I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office, North Georgia's only live online morning show. We just finished up one of our candidate interviews, and we apologize. It is Thursday morning, and we forgot to tell you it is spring break. So if you generally tune in to see Carla's Corner at 8:30, we apologize. Carla is on spring break with her kids. Seems like every time I turn around here at FYN, there's a kid walking down the hall here. So it must be spring break. So, where are we at? Let's check. I didn't do this in the during the commercials. Let's check here very quickly to see if, yeah, there it is. Just, let's see. Let's see if the president has done anything here this morning. Just an hour ago, as we were coming on the air, Donald J. Trump, your president of the United States, the caravan is largely broken up. Put a picture of the caravan up there if you don't mind. The caravan is largely broken up thanks to the strong immigration laws of Mexico and their willingness to use them so as not to cause a giant scene at our border. Don't cause a scene. Don't cause a scene, right, at our border. Trump letting you know, you come to the border, there will be a scene. Oh, yeah. Get the video cameras rolling. Get the choppers in the air. Sky Chopper Shepard Smith 1 out there, because there'll be a scene at the border. Because of the Trump administration's actions, border crossings are at a still unacceptable 46-year low. Stop drugs. Now, Amanda, let me tell you what I like. You ready? Amanda, if I say let me tell you what I like, that's like your part to say, what do you like? Or, you know, like, you understand, if I pull your name into it, it means I'm actually looking to hear from you. So you want to try it again? Amanda, let me tell you what I like. What is there? Are you asleep? Well, tell me what you like. Tell me. I mean, I'm saying to you, are you not understanding? Amanda, let me tell you what I like. What do you like, BKP? God, why did it take 2 minutes of airtime to get you to understand? Well, stay live there for a second, or on the air. So, Amanda, let's start. You know what? When I read the president's tweets, let me tell you what I like about them. You know what I like about them? They validate your host. That's what I like about them. They validate me. You remember in the first hour, I said stop drugs? You remember I did let's use the 10,000 number for a scenario there, and 60% or 66,000 are no longer coming through because they don't need the jobs, but the 4,000 are still coming through? Remember that? The President of the United States, after I said that, he must be watching the show, he said border crossings are still at an unacceptable 46 year, unacceptable, all capital letters. Stop drugs, right? That's why we're sending the Border Patrol folks. All right, thank you, Amanda. Thank you for playing along on our game show today. I picked up. I picked up in that. You're so welcome. Folks, the President of the United States said it's unacceptable. The 46-year low is unacceptable. Stop drugs. That's what I told you when I opened the show at 8 o'clock this morning, okay? I've always said, joking or not, Juan and Jose have names on their uniforms now in Mexico. Juan and Jose are working at a auto manufacturer, or they're working at Levi's in Mexico. And Juan is not looking over at Jose and saying, hey, would you like to leave today? Our jobs right here in the motherland of our country with our families. Would you like to leave our wives, our children, everybody behind to make a better life in America? No, I really don't see no reason why. We get off in 2 hours and we can go down the street and, get a couple, tequilas or whatever you drink, and we can have a couple drinks. And, the union's fighting for our siesta break in the afternoon. Why would we leave Mexico? I've done Massachusetts, had that strong Boston accent. Used to go in there and drink scotch with President Reagan, and they tell each other a joke and come out with a deal or some sort. But that is the former Speaker of the House, Tip O'Neill. And you remember those famous words that we all remember, but many don't remember the point of origin? All politics is local. Tip O'Neill said, all politics is local. Right? Now, did you find a graphic? What's that say? I can't see across the room. I can't find my glasses. What's that say?
It's All Politics is Local by Tip O'Neill.
Oh, it says that?
Yep.
Okay, I can't see. Very good job. I just can't see it. Here's the point, okay? Now, I have told you this over and over and over. Why the Democrats, why Republicans, why the people that want to drain the swamp, why you have slowed down in being active in participating. And I was thinking, I know that didn't come out right because I was thinking how I want to put this together. Trump got elected, and I really don't want to come and say mean things to Trump supporters, mean things to Republicans, no matter what. I don't want to do that. But I want to tell you, the Democrats are energized. Well, tell us something we don't know. Well, I'm going to tell you something. Go right at home, no matter what state you're at this morning, no matter what county, what district, what region, what state house region, what Republican House of Representative region you're in. The Democrats have a candidate. They're working hard. They have a candidate. Everywhere you look, they have a candidate. They are giving themselves in rural America a reason to go vote. They're coming out. No joke, no pun intended. Now, I do not know. I'm going to focus in on where I live. I do not know if there is a Democrat Party in Gilmer County. I'm not for sure. If they have organized Gilmer County Democrat Party meetings in Georgia, I don't get invited. I'm not on the mailing list. If I got invited, I was on the mailing list, I would go check it out. But I'll tell you what, the county north of here, Fannin County, all right, I have gone to Republican Party meetings in Fannin County, and let's use a number of 40. I have seen 40 people at a Republican Party meeting in Fannin County. I have seen Fannin County go 72, 74, 76% Republican. But let me tell you what I've seen recently, and I have attended personally, and we've had reporters attend. I've seen 40 at the Democrat Party meetings in Fannin County. And I have listened to their meetings of how energized they are. And I have watched them put candidates on the ballot. You see, I have said to you out there, if you are new to the show, I have in archives out there, very deep, multiple times I have told you, they have to win back the state houses. Now, they don't have time to blame Obama because they know it's Obama's fault. And if we went in and we did the research, we would be able to show you, in research how many hundreds and hundreds of state house, state senate, okay, governor's mansions throughout the United States that the Democrats lost control of under the 8 years of Obama. They know they have to win the House of Representatives back one step at a time. They know they have 18 in play seats, not counting the 10, okay? Not counting the 10 that Democrats may be picking up in Pennsylvania, all right? They know, all right? They know that they will lie, okay? No matter what they have to do, they know they will lie to get 18 candidates like Connor Lamb on the ballot somewhere. And that is the candidate in Pennsylvania that just won. That is the candidate that's pro-Second Amendment, says he is. That's the candidate that says they probably would not vote for Nancy Pelosi. Think about this, folks. Wake up. And this is my call to you. How many Republicans ran, okay, that promised you, if elected, they would not vote for Paul Ryan for Speaker of the House? Deja vu, that's what it's called, right? would not run, that would not vote for Paul Ryan as Speaker of the House? How many? Well, now the Democrats like, hey, it got some Republicans elected. I mean, I like the guy, but, Barry Loudermilk right here in Georgia, just south of me, I like Congressman Loudermilk. He just voted against. He wanted the Republicans that voted against this omnibus bill. But he promised the voters that when he got sent to Washington, D.C., my understanding is he would vote against Paul Ryan as Speaker of the House. Off the top of my head, I'm thinking he voted for him. So all they have to have is 18 Connor Lambs throughout the country, 435. You understand? You got 435 representatives, and the way our founding fathers set it up, all of them get reelected at one time. They got to find 18. This is besides the 10 that Pennsylvania's given them. I know I keep repeating that. To say, hey, I'm not a Nancy Pelosi fan. To say, I'm pro-NRA. To say, I may work with Donald Trump. See, they know these local areas. All politics is local. You're going to have local candidates on your ballot to try to take back the State House. Now, let me tell you what they're doing, okay? Let's use Georgia for an example. You remember in South Carolina, and I'll end with this and go on to something else. But do you remember in South Carolina, all right, when you and I did not want John McCain to be the nominee? Remember? We didn't want John McCain to be the presidential Republican nominee for president of the Republican Party. We didn't want that. But South Carolina Democrats, they picked out who they wanted to run against. And knowing South Carolina was a pivotal point, they ran to the polls and voted. They crossed the aisle and voted for John McCain. Remember that? Because they wanted the candidate they could beat. Get ready. No matter where you're at in America, I'm telling Republicans now, they got to take back the House, they got to take back the Senate. And I don't mean Washington, D.C. Georgia, they got to take it back. All over the United States, they got to take back your state House and your state Senate. And they have a plan. And they have a plan by the Democrats going and voting for the candidate they think they can beat in November and knocking the big name off. They're picking whoever the big name is that they can't beat. They're picking whoever the big name is that has all the money. That would be very difficult to hurdle in the general election. And they're trying to get them off the ballot. Because, see, a lot of Republicans have primary challengers. And those primary challengers are upset with Republicans over so many things that have not been done. And Democrats are doing everything to move the big names off to find people they think they could beat in November, dollar for dollar. I'm just telling you, they have a plan. All politics is local. They are working harder than you've ever seen. And they have a reason to go vote. In rural America, you go to any county in rural America that voted 68% Republican, 72% Republican, that generally do. Those counties now, the Democrats in those counties have a reason to come vote because they're getting candidates on the ballot and they're ready for November. There's a major plan in place. I have told you that. All politics is local. They will field candidates in your county. You will have local candidates in your county that will tell you they think we should work with Donald Trump. They don't really like Nancy Pelosi. They're not going to seem out there, in my words. Just get ready. All politics is local. The Democrats have a plan, and they may shock you if you don't think you have to get on board somewhere, somehow, and get mobilized, or you're going to see a shift. And I'm just saying this so I can see if I can get you to understand, and I hate to put it that way, that they've learned the lesson and they're going home to their counties. They're going home to their Board of Education. They're going home to their commissioners. They're going home to their state reps, state senate, and they're working those angles. I'm your host, BKP. All politics is local. The Democrats have a plan. You will see. You need to pay attention, and you need to see how you can get activated today to help drain the swamp and maintain. If you want to maintain the leadership, I mean, I'll tell you right now, whether you think so or not, the state senate, the Georgia State Senate, is Republican. The Georgia State Senate had what's called a supermajority. It's like filibuster proof. You know, where the U.S., you hear all the time, the U.S. Senate, you need 60 votes. The state of Georgia had that. They had what's called supermajority in the Senate. They lost it. The last special election in the Senate in Georgia went to a Democrat. In a metropolitan Atlanta area where a Republican left, and a special election put in a Democrat, and they no longer have a supermajority. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office, North Georgia's only live online morning show. We have a new tweet from the President of the United States. We're going to put that up when we come back.
The Tupelo Tea mission is to provide over 80 premium tea blends for tea lovers who are looking for ways to explore new flavors and blends. Come visit Tupelo Tea, located in beautiful downtown Blue Ridge at Sycamore Crossing. Be sure to sample our various varieties of honey and tea. Visit us on the web at tupelotea.com or call us at 706-946-TEAS. That's TEAS. Tupelo Tea, located in beautiful downtown Blue Ridge.
Ace is your helpful place for paint and home goods, tools, outdoor living, and lawn equipment. But did you know Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge is a little bit more? We have hunting rifles and accessories for your next hunting trip. We have Amish furniture imported directly from Ohio. And we have Ace Custom Woodworks for all your custom wood project needs, from cabinets to artwork. Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge. We have your new house in stock.
Hi, I'm Rhonda the Mattress Lady, and this is my husband Gary, owners of Mattress Overstocked in Ella next to Walmart.
And we want to earn your business. From the time you walk in our door to the time we deliver your new mattress to your door, you will see the difference. Our selection and prices are the best in North Georgia, and customer service is our top priority. So y'all come on in and let us help you find the right mattress at the right price. That's Mattress Overstocked in Ella next to Walmart.
Better days ahead.
It's just this simple. Nobody beats Days on price. If it's a Chevy, you'll pay less at Days Chevrolet in Jasper. Now save $4,000 off a new 2018 Chevy Malibu, or save up to $10,000 off a new 2018 Silverado Crew Cab. It doesn't matter which Chevy you choose. Nobody beats Days on price. $10,000 off Silverados and $4,000 off Malibus at Days Chevy in Jasper.
Better days ahead, Days Chevrolet.
Find new roads.
What you gonna do with all that junk?
Hey, I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office, North Georgia's only live online morning show. We get a we go and we check an update here. This was published 50 minutes ago after we came on the show. U.S. trade deficit rises to a 9.5-year high. The Commerce Department said the trade gap rose 1.6% to $57.6 billion. Okay, that was the highest level since October 2008. Part of the rise in trade deficit in February reflected commodity price increases. Okay, 9.5-year high. Okay, and you're saying we don't have to, some of the left, that we don't have to do something about this and do something about it now. Let me see. I'm going to go to the Twitter deck and go to the Twitter deck here before we go any further. And just 12 minutes ago, the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, released another tweet. The fake news Washington Post. I'm sorry. I know I get messages from people and viewers that say, do you really like when he says stuff like that? I have to tell you, I've waited my whole life for a president of the United States just to put it out there. Say it, okay? The fake news Washington Post, Amazon's chief lobbyist, has another of many phony headlines. Trump defiant as China adds trade penalties. Wrong. Should read, Trump defiant as U.S. adds trade penalties. Will end barriers and massive IP theft. Okay? Intellectual property theft. Typically bad reporting. So, you know, the fake news Washington Post, which is owned by Jeff Bezos, Amazon's chief lobbyist, he's the CEO of Amazon, has another of many phony headlines. Trump defiant as China adds trade penalties. Wrong. And he is correct in that, folks, because they are wrong. China is adding and threatening to add penalties based on they're threatening to add penalties based on what President Donald Trump said he is going to do. And I tell you yesterday, intellectual properties, you keep hearing that. And you keep hearing trade deficit. And I just want to be clear on something. The Chinese, if you read, okay, espionage, spies, okay, we have heard Russia daily. Putin kills journalists. Putin poisons people. Putin wrestles, a lion. Whatever, daily. but not one word on China, and not one word on how they manipulate their currency, not one word on the trade deficit, and not one word is they are the leader in espionage in this country. They are sending people to study in our universities and get major research grants. They are sending people to work within our corporations. I mean, they are flooding this country. And I think this all goes back to, remember Bill Clinton told the Chinese, come right in, we'll give you anything. Just look around. If you see anything you want, you can have it. Well, President Trump doesn't see it that way. He sees our universities, our corporations, our high-tech industry infiltrated by the Chinese government sending people to extract the intellectual properties out of these corporations, out of these universities. You see, here's what happens, folks. And I explain this, and then everybody yells I'm wrong and whatever, or you get mad the way I explain it. But you have these major universities that we created, that we took your tax money and we supplement, and we get these departments, these different departments, and then we fund these departments through grants and different grants and so forth go into these departments. And corporations, big corporations, give certain research development areas of these major campuses, these colleges, money for research. And then the research department then in turn gives that intellectual data to these corporations. All right? It's all a big circle. The Chinese know that. They have infiltrated your schools, your science departments, your technology departments. They've infiltrated everything in this country. And you and I are paying to have them extract the intellectual properties that belong to us, belong to corporations, belong to our universities, our schools, nationwide, and send home. And Trump knows that, and he's telling you the truth. See, President Donald Trump is taking all the chances. All you'll hear on the news today is, okay, they will not report on the front page of any newscast and open up when what Donald Trump says about Syria increases revenue from other countries that don't want us to leave. All you heard is Trump went on Twitter and he confused our men and women in the military. He confused them and he said, we're leaving. Now, what the left wants you to believe is Donald Trump went and tweeted that out, okay? Tweeted that out yesterday or day before that he wants us out of Syria, and that our men and women in uniform and our leadership over there said, well, did you see the tweet? Pack your bag. What are you guys and girls doing in here? Well, we're packing up. The president tweeted we have to go home. It didn't happen like that. They want you to believe there's so much confusion over it. It did not happen like that. They will not report when Saudi Arabia and others in the area that do not want us to leave come up with some money. Pony up, as they say. I'm your host, BKP. We're going to take a brief break. We're going to come back, get off the Twitter deck. I don't know if Amanda has anything. If she does, we're going to check in with Amanda when we come back, and we got some things we want to wrap up the show with. So take us a break, Amanda.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in Ellijay, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
Circuit World, brand name merchandise at unbelievably low prices. Furniture, appliances, and electronics. Circuit World is locally owned and operated, serving the tri-state area. Circuit World has highly trained professionals to help. Visit your hometown Circuit World today. 3 locations in Georgia, Ellijay, Blue Ridge, and Blairsville, Franklin, and Murphy, North Carolina. No credit checks, so let Circuit World deliver to you today.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds. Come on in to view the area's largest selection of fine jewelry at North Georgia Diamond. All repairs and designs are done on site by our jewelers. And North Georgia Diamond has the lowest prices on loose diamonds. You can also sell your gold, silver, and coins at North Georgia Diamond between Walmart and Lowe's in East Ellijay. Locally owned by Bill and Allison Craig, North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
Medium Pizza Hut pizzas just $5.99 each.
Did they say Pizza Hut?
For $5.99?
Yes, and yes.
Yes! Introducing the deal you want on the pizza you crave. 2 medium pizzas just $5.99 each. No one out pizzas the hut.
Hey, we're back. I'm your host, BKP. We're going to check in with Amanda to see what she's got going on. And right after that, I want to get right back into wrapping up the show with Scott Pruitt and the EPA that we opened up with this morning. Amanda, what do you have happening this morning? What's going on?
Good morning. How are you?
Look, I'm fine. At least I can I can reciprocate when asked the question, but go ahead.
Okay, so I came another thing across Facebook. And this is actually in Deerfield Village, Illinois. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. I've never heard of it. But I came across this article. It's a Daily Wire article, and one of them was rewritten by Joe Miller. And he says, by the Daily Wire, rulemakers in the village of Deerfield, Illinois have voted unanimously to ban semi-automatic rifles, along with pistols and shotguns, with certain features, as well as magazines that hold more than 10 rounds of ammunition. The ban passed Monday night outlaws any weapon in the village leaders deem assault weapons, including AR-15, but also banned semi-automatic rifles, pistols, shotguns with certain features. So basically they are banning all guns. This is our fight. This is quoted. This is our fight. This is our generation's fight, and we're going to keep fighting. One Deerfield High School student, Ariella Karich, said at a public hearing, according to ABC 7 in Chicago. Thank you for being a part of that. The new ordinance takes effect June 13th. Residents who have banned weapons after that date face up to $1,000 in fines per day. So if you are caught with a weapon, they will check and make sure that you get rid of that weapon. If you don't, each day that you don't, you're fined up to $1,000 a day. The new ordinance was modeled on a ban put in place in Highland Park, Illinois, which went to the United States Supreme Court. the high court let a lower court ruling allow the bandstand.
Well, they will have probably on their sign when you go into town, they'll probably have a little tag that says safest town in America. That's what, I don't know, that's what they want to lead you to believe. If you can get rid of all guns, you could live in this utopia that is so safe, and everybody will sing Kumbaya, and they'll have, and they'll give out bags of marshmallows and fire.
Can you explain to me?
I don't know. I mean, I don't even know what to say when I hear stuff like that.
No. So we're going to pretend that the Second Amendment does not exist? Can you explain to me how you would even go about intervening this?
Pretend something doesn't exist? Do you realize we could do a whole show on what they want you to pretend does not exist in this world? The realities of the world? Yeah, I understand the Second Amendment.
So this town's planning on turning into Pleasantville?
There you go. Black and white. It'll be black and white.
No, really. How do you begin to intervene this?
I don't know. I have no idea.
I'm just in shock. I can't even believe. We're just going to pretend in this town specifically that the Second Amendment
does not exist. So I tell you what, we'll have to send in Yosemite Sam. And that's all I know, and you have no idea who that is.
Yes, I do.
No, you don't. You kids don't know. Anyhow. Okay, thank you for that. I hate to be rude and push you off the screen there. I have to have a couple more minutes for the Scott Pruitt story before we close. Thank you very much, Amanda. Every day, Amanda looks up a little something that is unusual or taking place or violates our constitutional rights. It's happening somewhere in the heartland that nobody else wants to talk about or bring up. Now, Scott Pruitt, now let me explain something here. Put his picture back up. They want rid of him. And I can give you reason after reason. This is the biggest target on the biggest back in Washington, D.C. that they want rid of the biggest, one of the biggest bureaucracies, agencies. The West Virginia coal miners do not want rid of Scott Pruitt. The list goes on, okay, and on, all right? But environmentalists are dangerous people. Now, I'm sorry, don't get mad, but some of them are very, very dangerous. And they will stop at all costs. Here's what Scott Pruitt ended. There's a policy that was called sue and settle. All right? And it was it's one of the top swamp corruption policies there is. It's called sue and settle. So let me just put it in a box, and everybody can tell me I'm wrong, and that's not officially how it works, but I'm going to put it in a box of what I call understanding, the box of understanding. You have the first team deployed to find all of your violations, all of your EPA violations. They're deployed. Then immediately they come back with their research, and that's when the team of lawyers and all of your violations. Big corporations get fined millions of dollars. You will see a headline, corporation fine, largest fine in this area in 40 years for a corporation, EPA, Environmental Protection Agency. And then you would get their team of lawyers that would sue you. And then they send in the team that says, hey, you're being sued by the EPA. You're looking at $40 million in fines. We can settle this thing. I'm serious. It's almost exactly like, a mob movie. The Cosa Nostra, The Godfather. The list goes on. Hey, you got a guy comes in. Guido. I can settle this thing. I can get it out of your way. That might sound joking, but that's what happens. I can, I know a guy. I can, we can work something out. Let's settle this. We don't want to go to court. You don't want your stockholders to have to show your stockholders that you paid a $40 million fine. Okay, how do I settle this? I just want to keep on working and moving on. How do I settle this? Here's a list that we have comprised of charities. Let's just say you donate $1 million to this charity and $1 million to that charity. You've just saved $38 million. They're liberal activist charities. Now that's called putting it in the understanding box. And a lot of people will attack me and say, that's not exactly how it happens. True. It was called sue and settle. They come out, they fine you millions. They find all these problems wrong with your projects, that you violated all these EPA regulations. Next thing you know, the lawyers come. The next thing you know, they say, hey, let's sit down and talk. Next thing you know, you hear the word, hey, we can settle this. The next thing you know, they give you a list of places where you can make a donation and this could go away. Scott Pruitt ended this with Donald Trump. It's over, okay? This was a huge change after the Obama administration, which used the EPA to issue volumes of job-killing regulations to mollify environmental extremists. Among its egregious efforts, it utilized sue and settle practices to abuse legal limits on rulemaking and reward ideological allies. Period. You settle, we'll give it to this person. In the first year in change of EPA, Pruitt finalized more than 20 deregulatory actions, saving taxpayers more than $1 billion in regulatory costs. He also ended the sue and settle practices. The agency is rescinding and replacing the ridiculous and onerous Waters of the United States rule. They're replacing the onerous Water of the United States rule. Do you realize that under Obama, the EPA, if you had a mud puddle in your front yard because of hard rains, it could be regulated by the EPA as a pond or a water. I forget what it's called. Well, it's called it actually was called the Agency Rescinding and Replacing Waters of the United States rule. Yes, as much as a small portion of water, okay, on your property, and acting on President Trump's order to review and overturn Obama's administration's so-called Clean Power Plan. Okay? Barack Obama, this is a little joke, but Barack Obama wanted, the Clean Air Act to make sure cars got over 100 miles a gallon by a certain day. President Trump said it's ridiculous. They had these clean air plans that, they were trying to end coal. They were not giving out new permits for coal miners. They were not giving out permits for mines to continue. They were revoking mining permits. The list goes on and on and on. And as I started to show, there's projects that have green lights now to go forward that have been on the books for years. This is the guy they need rid of. Because if they can get rid of this guy, one, you and I both know, if they can get rid of Scott Pruitt, that they cannot replace Scott Pruitt with an equal or better. Can't do it. It's not out there. Because why? Democrats? No. Republicans don't even have the stomach. They don't have the stomach to replace Scott Pruitt with the right person. Okay? Because by time 2018, which we just talked earlier, rolls around and this election cycle just in November comes around, all right? Just a couple months down the road, you're going to have these environmentalists coming out with signs and pickets and town hall meetings, And Republicans are nervous that they have to kowtow a little bit to these people. A little bit. Okay? So you're going to have the share of Republicans, and I haven't seen the list yet, that are going to come out and ask for him to leave and say it's a good idea. Maybe he should leave. Second, you're not going to get the Republicans to put the right person back in place. Third, they will not even give the President of the United States confirmation hearings on his appointments as we speak. Fourth, last but not least, I think I've lost track of the number. Let's show Jeff. Okay, Michael Flynn announces plans to retire in April. All right, Michael Flynn, acting deputy administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency, revealed Wednesday that his plans to retire after a long and rewarding career at the EPA. I've decided it is time for me to move on, and so I will be retiring from the agency April 3rd. The Environmental Protection Agency still has, if you go to the EPA, they still have him in the list as Deputy Secretary. This morning, he's still there, although his retirement was supposed to be 2 days ago. And he is a 20-plus. Do you have his picture, Mike Flynn? 20-plus year man. This is why they want to get rid of him. And then if he leaves and retires, then Donna Vizian looks to be next in line, a 20-plus year environmentalist, ready to go. They need this guy gone. So that's all I'm going to say about that. I know I'm repeating myself over and over, but the EPA wants this guy gone, and it's because he is draining the swamp. Look, I talked earlier about the Democrats have a plan. You know, as many of us that don't like James Carville, and I can't do my Carville impression. I used to could do a Carville impression. But many of us that don't like James Carville from Louisiana, he understands politics to the point of what gets someone elected. And, you know, all politics is local, and they will lie about anything. I mean, he's down there in Louisiana. It wouldn't be nothing for James Carville to go on CNN Today and say something about a Republican. Well, I don't know, but I'll tell you this. There's a Republican on the ballot, and there's 3 Republicans come through town, and now we have 4 young ladies that just out of clear blue skies expecting babies. Now, we don't know if that's legitimate or not, but, you know, Republicans came through town last night. Just saying. Now, let's move on to something else. He knew how to just say something, and you're just like, what the heck did he just say? Republicans got, 4 women pregnant driving through town? I know you might think that's off there, but that's how they work. That's how they are. They're going to lie about voting for Nancy Pelosi, and they will. They're going to lie about working with Donald Trump, and they will lie about it. They're going to lie about the Second Amendment. They're going to. Now, here's the thing. Here's the worst part, and I've only got 8 minutes. I'm not going to say where the Democrats learn to lie, because obviously they're politicians and they basically all lie to you. But the Democrats are just going to flip the lies to get elected that the Republicans did not follow through in their lies to you to get originally elected. Well, what's that mean? I mean, they watched Republicans come out and stand on the stump and say they were going to end Obamacare. They watched Republicans come out and stand on the stump and say they were going to defund Planned Parenthood. They watched Republicans come out and stand on the stump that they were going to, secure the border and deport and build a wall or whatever. They've watched Republicans stand on the stump and lie over and over and then go to Washington, D.C. and just do what they wanted. And you think for 1 minute that the Democrats aren't going to focus local and pinpoint where they're at and figure out the issues in your county and in the legislative map of your state and go out and tell those lies? Oh, you're badly mistaken if you don't think so. I do. Anyhow, tomorrow is Friday. Let me get this clear. Tomorrow is Friday. We'll be at Circuit World in Blue Ridge. All right? Circuit World in Blue Ridge tomorrow morning. We will have the... I want to pull something up, and I know I'm losing track here, but President Trump is going to West Virginia today. All right? And let's just put Trump, I didn't pull it up earlier, to WV. All right? And he's going to White Sulphur Springs. All right? Trump to visit West Virginia. Let's just go there. It's all over West Virginia News, so we'll just take West Virginia Metro News. Trump to visit West Virginia on Thursday. President Donald Trump is scheduled to visit West Virginia on Thursday for an expected roundtable event at the Greenbrier County, White Sulphur Springs. The visit will mark Trump's fourth visit to West Virginia since taking office, and so forth. U.S. Representative Evan Jenkins, Republican of West Virginia, said in a press release Monday evening he was invited to join the president, the 3rd Congressional District, which Jenkins represents, including the Greenbrier. Okay? Now, one other thing that's not getting talked about in the mainstream media that I didn't put any time in today is the Republican that is opposing Joe Manchin, Democrat, will be with Trump today. There'll be a photo op for the Republican candidate, all right, opposing, all right, Joe Manchin in West Virginia will have a photo op with President Donald Trump. That Joe Manchin, I don't know, could be the example that's leading the way for how to lie to the voters for other Democrats to learn from. Period. Okay? Joe Manchin, they're taking it out of the Joe Manchin playbook. You remember when Joe Manchin ran last time as a Democrat? He was very vulnerable. There was chances. Trump wasn't on the ballot, and Trump didn't win West Virginia at this time. And he was very vulnerable at that time, even with Obama. And he went out and he did the commercial of him shooting up the budget. Was it the budget he had that he shot all up or something? Or I don't know what he did, but he had that and he did the commercial. That kind of saved him or pushed him over the top because there wasn't a very strong Republican opponent at that time. But Joe Manchin, Democrat of West Virginia, now has a Republican opponent. He has a Republican president. He has a president of the United States that every single county in the state of West Virginia voted for, totally red. He has a totally red state, and his opponent will take a picture today with the President of the United States. I did not want to leave without that because the media will not tell you that that's one of the marked areas that possibly could go Republican and the Democrats could lose a Senate seat. Tomorrow we're at Circuit World in Blue Ridge. Circuit World, Blue Ridge tomorrow, 8 a.m. We're going to have the all-star panel. We're going to have... Ask the Doc. Dr. William Whaley is traveling, so Dr. Raymond Tidman will be with us tomorrow morning. Ask the Doc. And tonight I got a doubleheader of Fannin County baseball. Let's see, what else do I have? I don't know what else we have. We got a little bit of everything going on. What's your weekend like? I have two or three political things. Now, there's something Saturday I got invited to, so I don't know what that is, but every day. Folks, before we end, let me just say this to you. If you're a candidate or you have a candidate in the state of Georgia that regardless of what they're running for, regardless if they're Democrat or Republican, okay? Monday morning, we're going to have our first Democratic candidate on the show, actually in studio, Monday morning. Okay, so our belief here at FetcherNews.com, if you go qualify to run for office, We're doing everything we can to bring all of those candidates to you to let you make your decision on who you want to vote for. So if you have a candidate that we have not interviewed that you want to remind us of and try to get on the show, 706-889-9700, chief@fetchernews.com. We're not doing them in any specific order, and we're not picking out any certain candidates. Also, we want to leave with you knowing this, okay? If you don't see a candidate in a race, they've not responded, okay? So let's just use the governor's race for Georgia, for example. We have Clay Tippins and Casey Cagle. Tippins' only response was, it's not working for their schedule right now. Casey Cagle's response campaign, we're busy this week, we'll try next week. But we were able to get Brian Kemp immediately, Hunter Hill, and Michael Williams. So I don't want you to think out there that the others were not invited, that we're pushing a certain way. There you go. I'm your host, BKP. We'll be at Circuit World in Blue Ridge tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Take us out of here, Amanda.